Hello, welcome to the programme. First, a review into the Manchester Arena attack has found security service MI5 missed a significant chance to take action that might have prevented the bombing. Chairman Sir John Saunders says the reasons for the missed opportunity include a failure by an MI5 officer to act quickly enough. He's been speaking at the publication of the third and final report into the deaths of the 22 victims of the 2017 attack carried out by suicide bomber Salman Abedi. Today's report considers how Abedi was radicalised and any chances security services missed to stop him. Well, let's hear now from Sir John Saunders, chairman of the inquiry. And here he says there was a missed opportunity.
What I have been able to set out in the open part of Volume 3 is that I have found a significant missed opportunity to take action that might have prevented the attack. It is not possible to reach any conclusion on the balance of probabilities or to any other evidential standard as to whether the attack would have been prevented. However, there was a realistic possibility that actionable intelligence could have been obtained which might have led to actions preventing the attack. The reasons for this missed opportunity included a failure by the security service, in my view, to act swiftly enough.
Well, Sir John also highlighted that Salman Abedi's background was a contributing factor to his radicalisation.
I have concluded that there were a number of contributing factors to Salman Abedi's radicalisation. His family background and his parents' extremist views, along with their participation in the struggle in Libya, played a significant part. That struggle involved people who were radical, violent extremists. During the time Salman Abedi and Hashim Abedi spent in Libya, during which they were probably involved in fighting, they are likely to have come into contact with a number of violent extremists. It is likely that those extremists, including members of the Islamic State, who would be in a position to provide the brothers with expertise in making of bombs and in carrying out counter-surveillance measures.
So they were some of the main findings at the end of this inquiry. Let's get a bit of reaction to that now. Richard Scorer was a lawyer for 11 of the victims' families. Let's take a listen.
Today's report has been deeply painful to read, but also eye-opening. On the issue of the preventability of this attack, inevitably, the report provides less information than we would have wanted. But it is now very clear that there was a failure to properly assess key intelligence about Salman Abedi, a failure to put it into proper context, and, most catastrophic of all, a delay in acting on it. As a result of these failures, at the very least, a real possibility of preventing this attack was lost.
And also speaking outside court was Caroline Curry, the mother of one of the victims, Liam Curry. And she said forgiveness will never be an option.
We will spend the rest of our lives trying to protect our boys. Because as we found out through this process, once you leave the safety of your home, you are on your own. So many people being paid that night to protect our kids, and yet so many failed in their duties. Professionals that had responsibility but clearly had other priorities. Security staff that, even when told of the danger, failed to act appropriately. Once again, we'll never forgive you. Nothing can bring Liam and Chloe back. Nothing.
Well, our correspondent Danny Savage was listening to the reaction from the families there, and he said they were likely to be satisfied with the thoroughness of the inquiry.
Yes, some strong criticism for the security services, as you would expect from the families. They'd been waiting for this for 6 years. They knew roughly what was coming, but of course, because much of this stage of the inquiry was heard in secret, they weren't allowed to sit through it. So you heard the family of Liam Curry. So the first people you heard from there with the northeastern accents from South Shields. That was Caroline Curry, who was the mum of Liam Curry, and she was there with the parents of Chloe Rutherford. Now, Liam and Chloe were a couple, a young couple who were at the concert that night. Liam was 19, Chloe was 17. And you heard the parents there saying that they sat through the trial at the Old Bailey of Salman Abedi's brother, and they've also sat through all of this inquiry as well. But what they weren't allowed to sit through, and none of them were allowed to sit through, was the evidence from the security services, which was heard here in secret, if you like. But they have drawn their conclusions from what has been said today by Sir John Saunders, saying that MI5 did have information that may have led to the attack being averted if they'd acted upon that information that they'd received. So yes, of course there's anger from the family, of course there's emotion from the family. You heard from Liam and Chloe's family, you heard from the gentleman there representing 11 of the other families, and then you heard from Fegan Murray, who's been quite a high-profile relative throughout this whole time. She's the mother of Martin Hett, and all talking about their deeply personal experiences and where they think this leaves them now, and if they can sort of, you know, move on with their lives in any meaningful sense since it happened. But of course, you know, what happened then was life-changing. This has come to a final stage now, the final part of the inquiry, but for lots of those families there are still questions unanswered. There's still more information they want, and they will still keep asking those questions, Lewis. But yeah, I think, you know, that you notice that they pay tribute to everybody who took part in the inquiry, and I think there is a feeling that Sir John Saunders has carried out a very thorough review of what happened, and they're very grateful to him for doing that.